data site, schema.org. We know all of these existing. So just to say that, that this doesn't exist is not right. Consensus on what should exist would be one way to go about it. But again, this is a very tough job. RDA has been struggling for it, all the groups in RDA for the past 10 years. So are we hoping to find something common? Are we going to find crosswalks like the community is doing? Is this what EOSC should be about? Or is it getting over the RDA work? And these are the questions that we need to really address, because a lot of funding will go into it. So we need to be very, very specific on what our goals are. And I think that the initial minimal legal metadata would help a lot of communities, especially in building data marketplaces, if you want, and exchanging with the industry and the government.
All right, Fotis is saying we have to wrap up because we're going to get teleported back to the main session in a few minutes. So first of all, I'd just like to thank Angela and Luca for standing up and presenting in a very brief time when clearly they can't go into details the work they've been performing part of the study. We have to come back to the plenary with a brief summary of the situation, okay? So I think there's a couple of points I will make there. First, highlighting, even though in the plenary we talked about membership costs, Angela's highlighted that the association membership does not cover the cost of operating EOSC. It's just the cost of running the association, right? So we cannot assume that the membership cost is all that's involved, right? There's highlight as well that when talking about the business models, we have to be very clear about our terminology and keep it understandable as well. And issues of access in terms of those elements or assets which are open today must remain open in the future as well. In terms of federation, we have to highlight the fact that the use of the interoperability framework is what's offering the structure for these things. There's also questions around the importance of metadata. It's been highlighted again today. That's very important. And while it's recognized, we cannot put our finger on a single instance of an acceptable interoperable metadata framework. We do need to find consensus between the different user communities to converge on that. It's also highlighted that the costing that's being performed for the EOSC core is focusing on the operational costs, not the research and development costs, which are needed to build new ones. And that, of course, leads to the question, well, how do we transition from the current situation to the first instance of the minimum viable EOSC, okay? It was also highlighted that at the moment, we're pretty much operating using project funding, which is not what you really want for a long-term sustainable plan. And we have to look at a funding model that is not linked only to project durations, okay? And the questions around the platform, the point is that the platform is not developing the services itself, but is providing access to the services and making them come together in that way. Are there any major points that somebody think we've missed there?
Thanks, Bob. This is very useful. We still have 4 minutes, so there may be some comments on your summary.
Okay.
Okay, just as a final reminder, I mean, definitely you all have questions, you all have comments. So, you know, you will have our email addresses for me and for Luca. Please contact us, basically for you to know who's doing what. We are doing, Across Limits is doing mostly the costing side of what is in core and MVE and the funding mechanisms and the pricing. Luca, they're doing the business and sustainability model of the platform. Okay, so maybe that will help to direct you, but just in case, you can put us both in copy and one of us will answer.
Yeah, sure, Annabelle. Maybe if you write me, or we can put it in the wrap-up email. Annabelle is asking for details on the workshop. It will be a 2 hours workshop where we give elements of platform thinking and we ask in exchange, I mean, your opinion and point of view on the study we are doing right now.
Okay. Is there any subjects that you think we've not being addressed when you hear about the business models, the funding approach, and also when you saw the table of contents for the Iron Lady document? Is there anything that's striking in terms of its absence?
Okay, maybe there are raised hands, but I put on my video instead.
Fine.
Go ahead, Per.
Yeah, maybe a bit more, because I think we're talking very much about the research infrastructures and so on, but we also know that the I mean, overwhelming part of research in Europe happens in the universities. So look on what are the mechanisms here to really engage universities and the university research that is going on in the universities, and look on what models that can be applied here, because I mean, I've got questions from universities. Should we be members of EOSC? Is that a good thing? Yeah, of course. Why not?
The more the merrier.
Yes, the more the merrier. And that is, of course, a development here that one need to engage the university, because that is also, we talk about the long tail of researchers, how they should invest in this, and they must see something that makes it worth the effort to look for these services and look around, I mean, what they have just next door or in their research group and so on. And there may be something on this, that it is at least raise the issue. Because of course, I mean, the document can't come with all the solutions here, but it's important, I think, that it raises the issues that have to be continued to work on in EOSC and the association later.
Okay, thanks, Per. Any other points people would like to raise that's missing maybe from what we've discussed today? No, I don't see anything. So I just think we just sit tight and wait to be teleported.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Let me thank you all for participating. Also to Jos for rapidly typing up the notes. And we'll expect to see you back in the plenary session in a couple of minutes. As I also said, the Iron Lady document, we expect to have a version, an updated version, taking into account the feedback from the Executive Board and the Governance Board by the time of the EOSC Symposium, which takes place on the week of the 19th of October. Okay. All right, with that, I think I'll go and grab a cup of tea before we go into the next session.
Thank you,
Bye.
Bob.
See you later.
Thank you, Bob.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Just to clarify, that will be moved back to the plenary. So please stay. Otherwise, you won't be. You need to reconnect. I guess people left already. Some people left.